To fool my brother humiliated me at barbecue, so I ruined his wedding speech. To fool my brother humiliated me at barbecue, so I ruined his wedding speech. The moment my brother Jake opened his mouth at last weekend's family barbecue, I knew I was fucked. He had that look, the same smirk he'd worn since we were kids when he was about to destroy me in front of everyone. "Hey everyone, gather round," Jake called out, clinking his beer bottle with a fork. "I've got some updates about our little graduate here." My stomach dropped. Sarah, the girl I'd been dating for 3 weeks and had finally worked up the courage to bring to a family event, squeezed my hand. She had no idea what was coming. Hell, I had no idea how bad it was about to get. "So our Danny boy here has been on quite the adventure since graduation," Jake announced to the crowd of aunts, uncles, cousins, and family friends. "Tell them about that marketing position at Peterson and Associates, Danny." "Oh wait, you can't, because they rejected you after the second interview." A few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the crowd. My face was already burning, but Jake was just getting started. "And that finance job downtown, what was it they said in the rejection email? Something about not being the right cultural fit?" He made air quotes, grinning wider. "But hey, at least the retail position at Target is still on the table, right?" I wanted to disappear. Sarah's grip on my hand loosened slightly, and I caught her confused glance toward me. We hadn't talked about my job situation in detail yet. I'd been too embarrassed to admit how badly the interviews had been going. "Jake, come on, man," I muttered, but he was on a roll now. "Oh, and speaking of adventures, Danny's really been exploring the dating scene too. Sarah, you should know you're actually the first girlfriend he's brought home in, what, 2 years? Since that disaster with Rebecca who dumped him over text because, and I quote, he was emotionally unavailable and had the ambition of a houseplant." The laughter was louder now, more uncomfortable. Mom shot Jake a warning look, but he ignored it. Dad was studying his burger like it contained the secrets of the universe. My older cousins were filming with their phones. "But hey," Jake continued, throwing his arm around his fiancée Amanda, "we can't all be blessed with success, right honey? Some of us peak early, some of us peak, eventually. Maybe. Amanda and I are just grateful we have our careers sorted, our beautiful house, and each other. Oh, and Danny, you're still planning to give a speech at the wedding next month, right? Since you're my best man and all." The crowd was starting to disperse, sensing the mood shift. Sarah excused herself to use the bathroom and didn't come back for 20 minutes. When she did, she was quiet for the rest of the evening. That night, after Sarah went home early with a headache, I lay in my childhood bedroom staring at the ceiling. Jake had humiliated me completely, systematically destroying my dignity in front of everyone who mattered. And the worst part? He'd done it with a smile, like it was all just harmless brotherly teasing. But he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd reminded everyone that I was giving a speech at his wedding. And I knew secrets about Jake that would make my job rejections look like fucking fairy tales. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from Sarah and a text that made my chest tight. "Hey, I think we should talk. Last night was a lot. Maybe we should take some space to figure things out." I stared at the message for 10 minutes before typing back, "Can we at least talk in person? I need some time to think. I'll call you later this week." She didn't call. By Wednesday, it was clear that Jake's little performance had cost me more than just my dignity. Sarah had essentially ghosted me, and the family group chat was full of relatives making jokes about my job hunt adventures and asking if I needed help with my resume. Even my mom had forwarded me 3 entry-level positions, just in case I was interested. The humiliation was eating me alive, but what made it worse was that this was just Jake being Jake. He'd always been the golden child, valedictorian, full ride to college, landed his engineering job before graduation, bought a house at 26. Meanwhile, I was the family project, the one everyone worried about with those sympathetic head tilts. But here's what nobody knew: Jake's perfect life was built on a foundation of lies. I'd found out about the cheating by accident 2 years ago when I borrowed his laptop. His Facebook messages were still open, and there it was, months of conversations with some girl named Lisa from his office. Detailed, explicit conversations that definitely weren't about quarterly reports. He was dating Amanda at the time, had been for almost a year. Then there was his previous engagement to Rachel. The family story was that they'd grown apart and decided to end things mutually. But Rachel had called me drunk one night about 6 months after their breakup, crying and ranting about how she'd found out Jake had been stealing money from their joint savings account to fund his sports betting habit. Apparently, he'd blown through nearly $8,000 before she caught him. "Your brother is a fucking sociopath," she'd slurred into the phone. "He made me think I was crazy for months, gaslighting me about the missing money. Thank God I found those betting apps on his phone." I'd never said anything. Family loyalty, I guess, or maybe I was just a coward. But now, sitting in my childhood bedroom with my life in shambles because of his public execution, family loyalty felt like a joke. The wedding was in 3 weeks. I'd already written a generic best man speech about brotherhood and love and supporting each other through thick and thin. It was safe, boring, and exactly what everyone expected from disappointing little brother Danny. I opened my laptop and created a new document. The cursor blinked at me for an hour before I started typing. Asterisk, when Jake asked me to be his best man, he said it was because I knew him better than anyone else. And you know what? He was right. I do know Jake better than anyone else in this room, asterisk. My hands were shaking as I wrote. Each sentence felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. But every time I hesitated, I thought about Sarah's text, about the laughter at the barbecue, about 24 years of being the family disappointment while St. Jake could do no wrong. By Thursday night, I had a 5-minute speech that would absolutely destroy him. The question was, did I have the balls to actually give it? My phone buzzed. A text from Jake: "Hey bro, hope the job hunt is going better. Can't wait for your speech at the wedding. Amanda's family is so excited to hear stories about us growing up. Make me look good." Grinning face with smiling eyes. I saved the document and closed the laptop. Yeah. I definitely had the balls. The next week crawled by like torture. I kept refining the speech, adding details, making sure every word would hit like a sledgehammer. But the closer I got to the wedding, the more my confidence started wavering. It started with Mom calling on Friday. "Danny, honey, I wanted to talk to you about what happened at the barbecue." Her voice had that careful tone she used when she was trying not to pick sides. "I know Jake can be intense sometimes. But you know he loves you, right? He's just proud of his success and sometimes doesn't think about how his words affect others. He humiliated me in front of everyone, Mom." "I know, sweetie. And I talked to him about it. He feels terrible." I almost laughed. "He feels terrible. Did he call Sarah to explain that? Because she's still not talking to me." There was a long pause. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. If she can't handle a little family dysfunction. A little family dysfunction. I cut her off. "Mom, he systematically destroyed my reputation in front of 20 people. He aired my private business, cost me my relationship, and turned me into the family joke. Again. Danny, please don't make the wedding about this. Amanda's family will be there, all of Jake's colleagues. This is supposed to be the happiest day of their lives." The guilt trip was classic Mom. Jake humiliates me publicly, but I'm the one who needs to keep the peace. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll give him exactly the speech he deserves." Something in my tone must have worried her because she was quiet for a moment. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm going to talk about how well I know my brother. Isn't that what best man speeches are for?" After I hung up, I felt sick. But I also felt something else, resolve. The rehearsal dinner was tonight, and I'd already decided I was going through with it. The speech was memorized. I had screenshots of the Facebook messages saved to my phone, just in case anyone demanded proof. Rachel had even agreed to answer her phone if I needed backup. Apparently her hatred of Jake outweighed her desire to stay out of family drama. But then Amanda cornered me during the cocktail hour. "Danny." She beamed, grabbing my arm. "I'm so excited for your speech tomorrow. Jake told me you two have the best stories from growing up." Amanda was genuinely nice. Always had been. She remembered my birthday, asked about my job search without that pitying tone everyone else used, and actually seemed to love my asshole brother for real. "Jake's lucky to have you," I said, which was true. "I'm the lucky one. You know, he talks about you all the time. He's so proud of you for graduating, for putting yourself out there with job interviews. He said the barbecue thing was just him being a protective big brother, making sure Sarah was good enough for you." My stomach dropped. "He said what?" "Oh, you know how he is. He said he was testing her to see if she'd stick around when things got tough. He feels awful that it backfired." She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "Between you and me, I think he's been harder on you because he sees so much potential. He doesn't want you to settle." I stared at her, wondering if she was really this naive or if Jake had fed her a completely different version of events. Either way, looking at her hopeful face, I felt like the world's biggest piece of shit. "Amanda, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are you happy? Really happy?" She lit up like a Christmas tree. "Danny, I've never been happier in my life. Your brother is my person, you know. I can't wait to be his wife." Fuck. I excused myself and locked myself in the bathroom, staring at my reflection in the mirror. Tomorrow I was going to destroy this woman's life. Not just Jake's, hers too. But then I remembered Sarah's text. The laughter. 24 years of being the disappointment. Some things were worth the collateral damage. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather and my perfect plan falling apart. I woke up at 5 a.m. in my hotel room with my stomach churning like a washing machine full of acid. The speech was still on my phone, every devastating word memorized, but something had shifted after talking to Amanda last night. My phone had been buzzing since 6 a.m. with increasingly frantic texts from Sarah. Asterisk, "Danny, I've been thinking about us." Asterisk. Asterisk, "I know I said I needed space but maybe I overreacted." Asterisk. Asterisk, "The barbecue thing was awkward but I shouldn't have just disappeared." Asterisk. Asterisk, "Can we talk after the wedding? I miss you." Asterisk. I stared at the messages, feeling like I was in some kind of cosmic joke. The relationship I thought Jake had destroyed was maybe salvageable, which should have made me happy. Instead, it felt like the universe was fucking with me, dangling exactly what I wanted right when I was about to blow up my entire family. But here's the thing that really messed with my head: what if Amanda was right? What if Jake's barbecue performance really was some twisted big brother test, and I was about to nuke his marriage over a misunderstanding? I called the one person who would tell me the truth without any family loyalty bullshit. "Rachel." "It's Danny. I know it's early, but..." "Oh shit, it's today, isn't it?" She sounded wide awake, probably because she worked night shifts as a nurse now. "Are you actually going through with it?" "I don't know. That's why I'm calling. Tell me again what happened with you and Jake. The real version." She was quiet for a moment. "Danny, are you having second thoughts because you think I was lying?" "No, I just..." Amanda seemed so happy. "And maybe I misunderstood what happened at the barbecue." "Stop." Her voice was sharp. "Danny, I lived with your brother for 3 years. I know the difference between protective and cruel, and what he did to you was cruel. It's the same shit he pulled on me, making me feel small so he could feel big. But the money thing. $8,000, Danny. $8,000 from our joint account that was supposed to be for our wedding, and when I confronted him, he told me I was being paranoid and controlling. He made me apologize to him for accusing him of stealing. I found the betting apps by accident 3 months later. My resolve started solidifying again. What about the cheating? Lisa from his office? Oh, that's still happening. I saw her commenting on his Instagram photos as recently as last month. Heart eyes emojis on a picture of him at some work conference. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. What do you mean still happening? Danny, I thought you knew. The Facebook messages you found weren't from when he was dating Amanda. Check the dates, I guarantee they overlap with his engagement. I felt sick. While I'd been wrestling with guilt about destroying Amanda's happiness, Jake had been actively betraying her. She wasn't just collateral damage in my revenge plot, she was a victim who deserved to know the truth. Rachel, would you be willing to text you screenshots of the recent Instagram stuff? Already on it. Check your phone in 5 minutes. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of the hotel bed staring at my hands. This wasn't about my humiliation anymore. Amanda was about to marry a cheater and a liar, and her family was spending probably $30,000 on a celebration of a fraud. My phone buzzed with Rachel's screenshots. Lisa's comments were from 3 weeks ago, including a "miss you baby" on a photo Jake had posted from his bachelor party. I thought about Amanda's glowing face last night, talking about finding her person. The wedding was in 4 hours. I had 2 choices: give the safe speech and let Amanda marry a man who was already cheating on her, or give the nuclear speech and save her from years of the same gaslighting bullshit Rachel had endured. Either way, I was about to ruin someone's life today. The question was, whose life deserved to be ruined? I spent the next hour pacing my hotel room like a caged animal, but by 8 a.m. I'd made my decision. Amanda deserved the truth. I just had to figure out how to deliver it without destroying her on what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. The morning flew by in a blur of wedding prep. Photos, getting dressed, more photos, Jake slapping my back and making jokes about brotherly love while the photographer captured our special moments. Every smile I forced felt like swallowing glass. You nervous about the speech, little brother? Jake asked while we were getting our boutonnieres pinned on. Don't overthink it. Just speak from the heart. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. Oh, I planned to. By 2 p.m., I was standing at the altar watching Amanda float down the aisle in her grandmother's vintage dress, radiant and completely unaware that her future husband had been texting another woman 3 weeks ago. Her father looked so proud. Her mother was crying happy tears. Jake's face was the picture of pure joy. Either he was a better actor than I'd ever given him credit for, or he'd actually convinced himself he loved Amanda despite actively betraying her. The ceremony was beautiful and perfect and felt like watching a car accident in slow motion. Then came the reception, and my moment of truth was racing toward me like a freight train. I picked at my salmon during dinner, barely listening to the maid of honor's sweet speech about friendship and Amanda's kindness. My phone felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket, loaded with screenshots that could detonate this entire celebration. But then something happened that changed everything. During the salad course, I overheard Jake's college buddy Mark talking to someone at the table behind me. "Man, Jake's really cleaned up his act," Mark was saying. "Remember that Vegas trip last year when he was all over that blonde from the hotel bar? I thought for sure Amanda was gonna find out about that one." My blood turned to ice. Las Vegas was last year. Jake had told Amanda it was a guy's trip for his friend's bachelor party. She'd even helped him pack. "Dude, keep your voice down," the other guy hissed. "That's ancient history." "I'm just saying, marriage changes people. He seems really committed now." Ancient history. Like the Facebook messages with Lisa were ancient history. Like the gambling addiction that destroyed his relationship with Rachel was ancient history. Jake didn't change, he just got better at hiding his shit. I excused myself from the table and called Rachel from the bathroom. "I need you to be honest with me about something," I said without preamble. "When you said the cheating was still happening, how sure are you?" "Danny, I showed you the Instagram comments." "No, I mean actively cheating. Like, meeting up with her." Rachel sighed. "I don't have proof of that. But I know your brother, and I know the way he operates. Leopards don't change their spots, especially not leopards who never faced consequences for their behavior." After I hung up, I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror. My reflection looked like a stranger, pale, sweating, eyes wild with indecision. In 30 minutes, I'd be standing up to give my speech. The nuclear version was memorized and ready to deploy. But Mark's conversation had introduced a new variable. What if Jake really had changed? What if I was about to destroy his marriage based on old information and circumstantial evidence? But then I remembered Amanda's face when she talked about finding her person. She deserved someone who wouldn't make her question her sanity when money went missing, who wouldn't humiliate people for sport, who wouldn't have a history of treating the people who loved him like disposable entertainment. A knock on the bathroom door interrupted my spiral. "Danny? You okay in there?" It was Jake. "Yeah, just pre-speech nerves. Mind if I come in for a sec?" Before I could answer, he was pushing through the door, looking annoyingly handsome in his perfectly fitted tux. "Listen, about the barbecue thing," he said, checking his hair in the mirror. "Maybe I came on a little strong. You know how I get when I'm drinking." This was the closest thing to an apology I was going to get, and it wasn't even really an apology. "It's fine," I lied. "Good, because I'm really counting on you today. This speech means everything to me, having my little brother up there supporting me." He straightened his tie, then looked at me seriously. "I know I'm not always the easiest guy to deal with, but family is everything, you know. We've got each other's backs no matter what." The manipulation was so smooth I almost admired it. He was rewriting history again, making himself the reasonable one while positioning me as the potential problem if I didn't play along. "Sure, Jake. Family first." He grinned and slapped my shoulder. "That's my boy. Now come on, I think they're about to call for speeches." As we walked back toward the reception, I felt the weight of my decision settling over me like a heavy coat. Jake hadn't changed. This conversation proved it. He was still the same person who could humiliate me publicly then act like it was no big deal, who could manipulate situations to make himself look reasonable while making everyone else question their own reality. In 5 minutes, I'd be standing up with a microphone, looking out at Amanda's hopeful face and her family's expectant smiles. Time to decide, safe speech or nuclear option. The DJ was already announcing the speeches as we reached our table. The DJ's voice boomed across the reception hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now hear from the best man, Danny Morrison." Applause erupted as I stood on shaking legs, my phone heavy in my pocket with Rachel's screenshots. The walk to the microphone felt like a death march. 200 faces turned toward me, Amanda's extended family, Jake's colleagues, everyone who mattered in their perfect little world. I pulled out my notes, the safe speech printed on hotel stationery. My backup plan. The nuclear speech was memorized, but seeing it written down had been my security blanket all week. Thank you, I said into the microphone, my voice cracking slightly. When Jake asked me to be his best man, he said it was because I knew him better than anyone else. A few chuckles from the crowd. Amanda beamed at me from the head table, her hand intertwined with Jake's. He gave me an encouraging nod, completely confident in his control over the situation. And you know what? He was absolutely right. I do know Jake better than anyone in this room. I paused, scanning the faces. Amanda's grandmother, who'd flown in from Florida. Jake's boss and his wife. The college friends who'd enabled his Vegas escapades. All of them expecting a heartwarming tribute to brotherhood and true love. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Sarah texting again. Growing up with Jake taught me a lot about loyalty, I continued, deviating from both prepared speeches. About what it means to have someone's back, even when they don't necessarily have yours. Jake's expression flickered, just for a second, but I caught it. Uncertainty creeping in around the edges of his confident smile. Jake's always been the successful one in the family. The one with the plan, the career, the perfect life that everyone envies. I looked directly at him. And he's worked really hard to maintain that image. The room was completely silent now. Even the servers had stopped moving. My phone buzzed again. And again. But I think the real measure of a person isn't their public success, it's how they treat the people who love them when no one else is watching. Amanda's smile was starting to falter. She could sense the shift in tone even if she couldn't pinpoint why. Jake's jaw was tight now, his eyes locked on mine with a warning that was probably invisible to everyone else but crystal clear to me, don't you fucking dare. My phone was buzzing insistently. 3, 4, 5 messages in rapid succession. Excuse me for just 1 second, I said into the microphone, pulling out my phone. I think this might be important. The texts weren't from Sarah. They were from a number I didn't recognize. Asterisk, this is Lisa Martinez. Rachel gave me your number, asterisk. Asterisk, I'm outside the venue. I need to talk to you about Jake, asterisk. Asterisk, it's about Amanda. She deserves to know what happened last week, asterisk. I have proof. My hands started shaking as I read the messages. Last week. Not ancient history. Not old Facebook messages or Instagram comments that could be explained away. Last week. I looked up at the crowd, at Amanda's increasingly confused face, at Jake who was starting to look genuinely worried. I'm sorry, I just need 1 moment, I said, stepping away from the microphone. Jake stood up immediately. Danny, what's wrong? Is everything okay? The entire reception was watching us now. Amanda was half rising from her chair, her face a mixture of concern and embarrassment. Her mother looked mortified that the best man's speech had been interrupted by a family drama. I just need to. I gestured vaguely toward the exit. There's someone outside I need to talk to. Danny. Jake's voice was low, controlled, but I could hear the edge underneath. Whatever this is about, we can handle it after the reception. This is Amanda's day. He was right. This was Amanda's day. Her special day that she'd been planning for months, surrounded by everyone she loved, wearing her grandmother's dress. And there was a woman outside with proof that her new husband had betrayed her last week. Jake, I said quietly, stepping closer so the microphone wouldn't pick up my words. We need to talk. Now. No. His smile was getting more forced by the second. You're going to finish your speech, we're going to cut the cake, and whatever personal issue you're having can wait until tomorrow. The crowd was getting restless. People were murmuring, checking their phones, looking around uncomfortably. The photographer was still snapping pictures, capturing every moment of what was rapidly becoming a disaster. Amanda finally stood up completely. Danny? Jake? What's going on? My phone buzzed with another text from Lisa, asterisk, I'm not leaving until someone talks to me. Amanda has a right to know, asterisk. I looked at Amanda's worried face, at Jake's barely contained panic, at 200 wedding guests who just wanted to eat cake and dance to overpriced DJ music. In about 30 seconds, I was going to have to make a choice that would change everything for everyone in this room. The question was, did Amanda deserve to have her wedding day destroyed to learn the truth, or did she deserve to enjoy one more day of happiness before her world fell apart? Jake grabbed my arm, his grip tight enough to bruise. Finish the speech, Danny. Now. But my phone was buzzing again, and Lisa wasn't going away. I stared at my phone as another message from Lisa came through, asterisk, I can see you through the window. The woman in the white dress, she looks so happy. Don't let him do to her what he did to Rachel, asterisk. Jake's grip on my arm tightened. Danny, I'm serious. Whatever this is, it can wait. But I was already walking toward the exit, Jake trailing behind me. The murmur from the crowd was getting louder, 200 people watching the best man and groom have some kind of breakdown during what should have been a heartfelt speech. Danny, please, Amanda called out, and the desperation in her voice almost stopped me cold. Can someone tell me what's happening? I pushed through the reception hall doors into the hotel lobby, Jake right behind me. Lisa was standing by the elevators, clutching a manila envelope and looking like she hadn't slept in days. She was prettier than her Facebook photo suggested, with dark hair and a kind of tired eyes that came from carrying guilty secrets. You must be Danny, she said, then looked at Jake. Hello, Jake. Jake went completely white. Lisa, what the hell are you doing here? Cleaning up my mess, she said simply. I should have done this months ago. The lobby was relatively empty except for a few hotel guests and an elderly couple checking in, but I could see wedding guests starting to peer through the glass doors of the reception hall. This was about to become a very public spectacle. Look, whatever you two need to discuss, can it please wait until after the reception? I found myself saying, even though 5 minutes ago I'd been ready to detonate Jake's life myself. There are 200 people in there, and Amanda doesn't deserve to have her wedding day ruined. Lisa laughed, but there was no humor in it. Her wedding day. Danny, I was with your brother 3 nights ago. In his apartment. In the bed he shares with her. Jake's face went from white to gray. Lisa, that's not, you're making this sound like something it wasn't. What it wasn't? Her voice was getting louder. Jake, I have the text you sent me yesterday. Yesterday, Danny. The day before his wedding, he was texting me about how he wasn't sure he was ready to commit to one person for the rest of his life. My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone and showed Lisa my screen. Are these the kinds of texts you're talking about? She glanced at the screenshots Rachel had sent me and nodded. Those are old compared to what I have. Jake's been telling me for months that he was going to call off the engagement. That he only proposed because Amanda was pressuring him and he panicked. That's bullshit, Jake snapped, but his voice cracked on the words. Lisa, you know the situation is complicated. The situation is that you're a coward, Lisa cut him off. And I'm tired of being your dirty little secret while that sweet woman in there plans a future with someone who's been lying to her face for over a year. Through the glass doors, I could see Amanda standing at our table, her wedding dress bright white under the reception lighting. She was talking to her maid of honor, gesturing toward the doors where we'd disappeared. Even from this distance, I could see the worry written across her face. What do you want, Lisa? Jake asked quietly. I want you to tell her the truth. Today. Before she's legally bound to you and finds out the hard way like Rachel did. She held up the envelope. Because if you don't, I will. I have screenshots, photos, receipts from the hotel room we got last Tuesday when you told her you were working late. The glass doors opened and Amanda appeared, still in her wedding dress, looking small and confused and absolutely beautiful. Behind her, I could see her father and Jake's best friend Mark heading our way too. Jake? Danny? What's going on out here? Amanda's voice was barely above a whisper. Lisa looked at me, then at Jake, then directly at Amanda. Hi Amanda. My name is Lisa Martinez. I think we need to talk. The silence in the hotel lobby was deafening. Amanda stood there in her grandmother's wedding dress, looking between Lisa, Jake, and me like she was trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. I'm sorry, Amanda said carefully, but who are you exactly? And why do we need to talk on my wedding day? Lisa clutched the manila envelope tighter. I work with Jake. We've been involved for the past year and a half. Involved how? Amanda's voice was still controlled, but I could see her hands starting to shake. Jake finally found his voice. Amanda, this woman is delusional. She's had some kind of obsession with me at work, and I've been trying to handle it professionally. Stop lying. Lisa's voice cut through his explanation like a knife. Amanda, your husband had sex with me 3 nights ago. Tuesday night when he told you he was working late on the Morrison project. The color drained completely from Amanda's face. That's not possible. Jake doesn't work on Tuesdays. He has his standing poker game with, she stopped mid-sentence, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. There is no poker game, Lisa said gently. There hasn't been for months. Amanda turned to Jake, her eyes wide with desperate hope. Tell her she's lying. Please just tell me she's lying. Jake opened his mouth, but nothing came out. The silence stretched for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. Oh my God, Amanda whispered, pressing her hand to her mouth. Oh my God, you can't even deny it. Through the glass doors, I could see the reception guests getting restless. Amanda's father was definitely heading our way now, along with Jake's groomsmen and what looked like Amanda's mother. In about 30 seconds, this private conversation was going to become a very public family crisis. Amanda, listen to me, Jake finally said, reaching for her hands. Yes, I made some mistakes. But I love you. I married you today because I want to spend my life with you. She jerked away from his touch like he'd burned her. Mistakes? You call cheating on me mistakes? It didn't mean anything, Jake said desperately. It was just stress about the wedding, about commitment, about what, Jake? Amanda's voice was getting louder now. About marrying someone stupid enough to believe your lies. Lisa stepped forward. Amanda, I brought proof. I didn't want to ruin your day, but I couldn't let you start your marriage not knowing the truth. She held out the envelope. Everything's in here. The hotel receipts, the text messages, photos. Photos? Amanda's voice cracked. Not those kinds of photos, Lisa said quickly. Pictures of us together at work events when he told you he was going alone. Screenshots of him telling me you two were having problems and might not work out. The lobby doors opened and Amanda's father burst through, followed by half the wedding party. Amanda, sweetheart, what's wrong? People are asking if the reception is over. Amanda looked at her father, who'd spent $30,000 on this wedding, who'd walked her down the aisle an hour ago with tears of joy in his eyes, then at the envelope in Lisa's hands, then at Jake who was looking increasingly panicked. Dad, she said slowly, I think we might need to ask everyone to go home. What? Amanda, what are you talking about? Her father looked around the group, his confusion evident. Who is this woman? Before anyone could answer, Jake's phone started ringing. He glanced at the screen and somehow managed to look even more panicked. Who is it? I asked. Jake's voice was barely a whisper, it's Rachel. And that's when I realized this wedding day was about to get so much worse. The phone kept ringing in Jake's hand like a bomb about to go off. Amanda stared at it, then at him, her wedding dress suddenly looking like a costume from someone else's life. Answer it, she said quietly. Amanda, I don't think. Answer the fucking phone, Jake. Her voice was steel now, all traces of the blushing bride evaporated. Jake's hand shook as he swiped to accept the call. Rachel? This really isn't a good time. Even from 3 feet away, we could all hear Rachel's voice through the speaker. Jake, I know it's your wedding day, but I just got off the phone with Danny and I can't let this happen. Amanda deserves to know about the gambling. The what? Amanda whispered. Jake frantically tried to lower the volume, but it was too late. Rachel's voice carried clearly through the hotel lobby, the sports betting, Jake. I know you're still doing it. My friend works at the bank where you and Amanda have your joint account, and she's seen the withdrawals. Thousands of dollars over the past 6 months. I watched Amanda's face cycle through confusion, realization, and then something that looked like relief, the relief of finally understanding why she'd been feeling crazy. The withdrawals for the wedding expenses, she said slowly, talking to herself more than anyone else. You said the catering cost more than we budgeted. And the flowers. And the photographer. Lisa stepped closer. Amanda, there's bank statements in the envelope too. I thought you should see where the money actually went. Oh my God. Amanda's father had gone pale. Amanda, honey, your mother and I covered the overages. We gave Jake $8,000 last month when he said you were short on wedding funds. The math was adding up in Amanda's head, and I could see each calculation hitting her like a physical blow. Jake had taken money from their joint account, convinced her parents to cover fake wedding overages, and was apparently still feeding his gambling addiction that had destroyed his previous engagement. How much? Amanda asked quietly. How much what? Jake's voice was barely audible. How much money did you steal from us to fund your betting? How much of my parents' money went to your gambling debts instead of our wedding? Jake looked around the group, his new wife, her father who just found out he'd been scammed, his coworker who was holding evidence of his affair, his brother who knew all his secrets, and a growing crowd of wedding guests who were starting to filter into the lobby. It's not that simple, he said weakly. It's a number, Jake. How much? Lisa opened her envelope and pulled out a stack of papers. According to the bank statements he showed me when he was explaining why he couldn't afford to take me on dates, about $15,000 over the past 8 months. Amanda's knees buckled slightly. Her father caught her arm to steady her, his face a mask of barely controlled rage. $15,000, Amanda repeated. Our house down payment. The money we've been saving for 3 years. Through the glass doors, I could see Amanda's mother approaching with several aunts in tow. The photographer was following them, apparently thinking this was some kind of dramatic wedding moment worth capturing. Behind them, wedding guests were starting to gather, sensing that something major was happening. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJ's voice echoed from the reception hall, if the wedding party could please return for the cake-cutting ceremony. Amanda looked at the growing crowd of family members, at her wedding dress, at the envelope full of evidence in Lisa's hands, and at Jake who looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. Then she started laughing. Not happy laughter. The kind of laughter that comes right before a complete breakdown. This is perfect, she said, her voice getting higher. This is absolutely perfect. Amanda's laughter was getting more hysterical by the second, echoing off the marble walls of the hotel lobby. I should have known, she kept saying between gasps. I should have fucking known. Her mother finally pushed through the glass doors, took one look at her daughter's face, and immediately went into crisis mode. Amanda? What's happening? Why are you out here? Mom, meet Lisa, Amanda said, gesturing wildly. Lisa is Jake's girlfriend. Well, one of them, apparently. Lisa, this is my mother, who just spent her retirement savings on a wedding to celebrate my marriage to a cheating, lying, gambling addict. The words hit Amanda's mother like a slap. She looked around the group, trying to process what she was hearing, her eyes landing on the envelope in Lisa's hands. I don't understand, she said slowly. Neither did I. Amanda's voice cracked. But it turns out our Jake here has been very busy. Stealing our money, sleeping around, and making me feel crazy for asking where $15,000 disappeared to. Jake finally seemed to find his voice. Amanda, please, can we go somewhere private and talk about this? Your whole family is watching. My whole family. Amanda spun around to face him. Jake, my whole family is here for a wedding. A wedding that apparently means so little to you that you were fucking someone else 3 days ago. Her voice carried clearly through the lobby, and I could see wedding guests starting to pull out their phones. This was about to be all over social media within minutes. Amanda, lower your voice, her father said urgently. People are recording. Good, she shouted. Let them record. Let everyone know that Jake Morrison is a lying piece of shit who steals from his wife and cheats with his coworkers. That's when Jake's boss appeared in the lobby, having followed the crowd from the reception. David Chen was a senior partner at Jake's engineering firm, a man in his 60s who'd given a toast earlier about Jake's bright future with the company. Is everything all right out here? He asked, clearly trying to assess the situation. Jake? Is there some kind of family emergency? The silence that followed was deafening. Jake looked at his boss, then at Lisa, his subordinate who he'd been having an affair with, then at the phone cameras capturing every moment of his professional and personal life imploding simultaneously. Mr. Chen, Lisa said quietly, I think we need to schedule a meeting about workplace conduct policies. I watched Jake's face go through about 6 different expressions as he realized that his marriage wasn't the only thing ending today. Having an affair with a subordinate was a fireable offense at his company, especially when it involved lying about work trips and using fake overtime as cover stories. Lisa, please, Jake said desperately. Don't do this here. Do what? Tell the truth. That's all I'm doing, Jake. Finally telling the truth. Amanda's phone started ringing, and she glanced at the screen. It's my sister calling from inside the reception. She's probably wondering why the bride and groom disappeared and why half the guests are filming something in the lobby. The situation was spiraling completely out of control. What had started as my planned revenge speech had turned into a public destruction of not just Jake's marriage, but his career, his relationship with Amanda's family who trusted him with their money, and his reputation in front of everyone who mattered in both their lives. And somehow, watching it all unfold, I felt absolutely no satisfaction. Just sick to my stomach as Amanda answered her phone and said, Hey Sarah, yeah, you should probably tell everyone the wedding's over. The words, the wedding's over, seemed to echo through the lobby like a gunshot. Amanda's sister's voice was loud enough through the phone that we could all hear her panicked. What do you mean over, from where we stood? I mean pack up the centerpieces and tell the DJ to stop playing love songs, Amanda said with bitter clarity. My husband is a cheating thief and I'm getting this marriage annulled tomorrow morning. That's when Jake's parents arrived. I saw them pushing through the crowd of onlookers, my mother's face white with confusion and my father looking like he was trying to solve a math problem that didn't add up. Behind them came Jake's college friends, Amanda's bridesmaids, and what appeared to be half the reception guests who'd given up pretending they weren't witnessing a complete meltdown. Boys? Mom's voice was small and worried. What's going on out here? Before anyone could answer, Lisa stepped forward and handed the envelope directly to Amanda. I'm sorry this happened today. But you deserve better than spending your life wondering if you're crazy when money goes missing or when he comes home late. Amanda took the envelope with steady hands, but I could see the slight tremor in her fingers. Thank you. I think you might have saved me years of misery. Amanda, don't look at that, Jake said desperately, reaching for the envelope. Whatever she's put together, it's taken out of context. The bank statements don't show the full picture. There's a full picture. Amanda's father stepped between Jake and his daughter, and for a moment I thought he might actually throw a punch. Son, you took money from my family under false pretenses. That's called fraud. Jake's face went from panic to genuine fear. Mr. Peterson, I can explain everything. The gambling, it's under control now. I was going to pay everything back after the honeymoon. With what money? Amanda asked. The money you don't have because you bet it all on football games. Or were you planning to steal more from our account? My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, Danny, I'm seeing videos on Instagram of some kind of fight at a wedding. Please tell me that's not Jake's wedding, Another buzz, oh my god that is Jake's wedding. Are you okay? What the hell is happening, The irony wasn't lost on me. Sarah, who'd ghosted me after Jake's barbecue humiliation, was now reaching out because she was seeing Jake's much more public humiliation go viral in real time. Jake, Amanda's voice cut through my thoughts, deadly calm now. I need you to tell me one thing, and I need you to tell me the truth for once in your pathetic life. Everyone went quiet. Even the hotel guests who'd been pretending to mind their own business while clearly listening to every word turned to watch. Did you ever love me, or was I just convenient? The question hung in the air like smoke. Jake opened his mouth, closed it, looked around at all the faces staring at him, his family, her family, his boss, his coworkers, random strangers with phones. Amanda, of course I love you. I married you. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. No, Jake. It's another lie. She opened the envelope and pulled out what looked like printed text messages. Because according to these screenshots from last week, you told Lisa that you only proposed to me because I was getting pushy about the timeline and you didn't want to deal with the drama of breaking up. The lobby had gone completely silent except for the sound of phones recording and someone's flash going off repeatedly. You told her, Amanda continued, her voice getting stronger with each word, that you were hoping I'd get cold feet so you wouldn't have to be the bad guy. Jake looked like he was about to throw up. And that's when my mother did something that surprised everyone. She walked up to Jake and slapped him across the face. The sound of my mother's hand connecting with Jake's face was like a starter pistol going off. Everyone in the lobby seemed to take a collective breath, and for a moment, the only sound was the echo of the slap bouncing off the marble walls. 34 years, my mother said, her voice shaking with rage I'd never heard before. 34 years I've been making excuses for you. Telling people you were just confident, just ambitious, just a little rough around the edges. Jake's hand went to his reddening cheek, his eyes wide with shock. Mom. Don't you dare mom me right now. She turned to Amanda, her voice breaking. Sweetheart, I am so sorry. I raised him better than this. I thought I raised him better than this. Amanda looked at my mother with something that might have been compassion if she hadn't just discovered her entire marriage was built on lies. Mrs. Morrison, this isn't your fault. Isn't it? Mom turned back to Jake, and I could see 20 years of enabling and excuse-making crashing down around her. How many times did I tell your teachers you were just having a bad day when you bullied other kids? How many times did I cover for you when you lied to your father about grades, about money, about where you were? The crowd was getting bigger. I could see hotel security approaching, probably trying to figure out if they needed to intervene in what was rapidly becoming a very public family therapy session. And you, Mom said, turning to me with eyes that were both furious and heartbroken. You knew, didn't you? You knew about the cheating, about the gambling, about all of it. My stomach dropped. Mom, Danny found out about some of it, Rachel's voice came from behind the crowd. I spun around to see her pushing through the wedding guests, still in her scrubs from work. But Jake's been lying to everyone for so long, I don't think anyone knew the full extent. Rachel? Amanda's father looked confused. Who are you? I'm the ex-fiancé who Jake stole $8,000 from 2 years ago, Rachel said matter-of-factly. I came to make sure Amanda didn't go through what I did. The crowd was murmuring now, phone cameras swinging between Rachel, Lisa, Amanda, and Jake like they were watching a tennis match. I could see Jake's groomsmen in the back looking like they wanted to disappear into the floor. Jesus Christ, Amanda said, sinking into one of the lobby chairs. How many women are there? That we know of. Lisa looked at Rachel, then back at Amanda. Just us, I think. But honestly, at this point, who knows? Jake's boss stepped forward, his professional demeanor barely containing what looked like fury. Jake, I think we need to discuss your employment status. First thing Monday morning. Mr. Chen, please, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me about work trips while having an affair with your subordinate. That you've apparently been stealing from your wife to fund gambling debts. His voice was getting louder. Do you have any idea what this does to the firm's reputation? We have clients here tonight, Jake. Partners from other companies who now think we employ criminals. That's when Amanda started laughing again, but this time it was different. Not hysterical. Almost relieved. You know what the really funny part is, she said, looking around at the crowd. 3 hours ago, I was worried about whether my dress looked okay in photos. I was stressed about the seating arrangements and whether the flowers matched my vision board. She stood up, her wedding dress rustling around her. And now I'm realizing that marrying you would have been the biggest mistake of my life. Jake opened his mouth to respond, but Amanda held up her hand. I'm not done talking. Amanda stood in the middle of the lobby in her grandmother's wedding dress, and for the first time all day, she looked truly powerful instead of devastated. You know what, Jake? I need to thank you, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the crowd. Because you just saved me from years of therapy trying to figure out why I always felt like something was wrong. The hotel security guards had finally made their way through the crowd, looking uncertain about whether to intervene in what was clearly a family crisis but was also becoming a public disturbance. Folks, we're going to need to ask everyone to either return to the private event or move this conversation to a more appropriate venue, the lead guard said diplomatically. Actually, Amanda's father interjected, pulling out his phone. I think we need to call the police. Everyone froze. Dad, what are you doing? Amanda asked. Fraud, sweetheart. He took money from us under false pretenses. $8,000 that we transferred to him last month thinking it was for wedding overages. His voice was deadly calm. That's theft by deception. Jake's face went completely white. Mr. Peterson, please, we can work this out as a family. We're not family, Amanda's father cut him off. And after what I've heard here tonight, we never will be. That's when Jake's college friend Mark decided to open his mouth and make everything infinitely worse. Come on, everyone's being a little dramatic here, Mark said loudly, clearly drunk from the open bar. So Jake had a little side action and borrowed some money. That's what guys do. Amanda, you're gorgeous, you'll find someone else. The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda turned to Mark with the kind of calm that comes right before an explosion. I'm sorry, what did you just say? I just meant, guys mess around. It's not that big a deal. Mark, one of the other groomsmen hissed, shut the fuck up. But Mark was on a roll. I mean, Jake told us about Vegas last year, and that thing with the bartender at his bachelor party, and everyone just looked the other way because that's what you do for your bros, right? I watched Jake close his eyes like he was hoping this was all a nightmare he could wake up from. The bachelor party? Amanda's voice was barely a whisper. Jake, what happened at your bachelor party? Nothing happened, Jake said quickly. Mark's drunk, he doesn't know what he's talking about. The blonde from the hotel bar, Mark continued, completely oblivious to the destruction he was causing. What was her name? Jessica. Jennifer. Jake, you remember, right? The one you. Mark, stop talking, 3 different groomsmen shouted simultaneously. But it was too late. Amanda was looking at Jake with the kind of expression that could have burned holes through steel. Your bachelor party was 2 weeks ago, Jake. 2 weeks ago. Lisa stepped forward, her face pale. Wait, he was with someone else 2 weeks ago too. While he was telling me I was the only one. The crowd was completely silent now except for the sound of phones recording what was rapidly becoming the most comprehensively documented relationship implosion in social media history. How many? Amanda asked quietly. How many women, Jake? Jake looked around desperately, like he was hoping someone would rescue him, but every face in the crowd was either horrified, disgusted, or grimly fascinated by his downfall. Amanda, I can explain everything. How many? Her scream echoed through the marble lobby like a gunshot. Even the hotel security guards jumped. And that's when Jake's phone started ringing again. He looked at the screen and somehow turned an even whiter shade of pale. Who is it now? Amanda demanded. Jake's voice was barely audible, it's Jessica. I stared at Jake's phone screen as Jessica flashed across it, the ringtone cutting through the lobby like a knife. Amanda's face went through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds before settling on something I'd never seen from her before, pure, cold fury. Answer it, she said with deadly calm. Amanda, I don't think. Answer the fucking phone, Jake. On speaker. Jake's hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped the phone twice before managing to swipe accept and hit speaker. The entire lobby, wedding guests, hotel staff, random strangers, his boss, both sets of parents, waited in complete silence. Jake. A woman's voice came through clearly. Hey, I know this is your wedding day, but I just saw some videos on TikTok and I'm freaking out. People are saying you got caught cheating. Please tell me that's not about us. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the air conditioning humming. Because if this is about the bachelor party thing, you promised me that was going to stay between us. You said you were calling off the wedding anyway, and I never would have. Amanda snatched the phone out of Jake's hands. Hi Jessica, this is Amanda. The bride. Well, ex-bride as of about 10 minutes ago. Oh my god, Jessica's voice went up about 3 octaves. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. He told me you guys were practically broken up, that the wedding was just a family obligation thing that he was trying to get out of. When did he tell you this? At the bachelor party 2 weeks ago. And then when he called me last Thursday too, Jessica stopped talking abruptly, apparently realizing she was making things worse. When he called you last Thursday to what, Jessica? To ask if I wanted to meet up again. He said he was having second thoughts about everything and needed to clear his head before making any big decisions. I watched Amanda close her eyes and take a deep breath that looked like it took every ounce of self-control she had. Jessica, how many times have you and Jake been together? I really don't think I should be in the middle of this. You're already in the middle of it. The question is whether you want to help me understand what my husband has been doing, or whether you want to be complicit in helping him lie to me for however long this marriage lasts. There was a pause, then Jessica's voice came back smaller and more ashamed, 3 times. The bachelor party, and then 2 other times when he said he was working late. Lisa stepped forward. What nights? Because he was supposed to be with me Tuesday and Thursday of last week. Tuesday I was with Jake, Jessica said through the speaker. We met at that hotel downtown. The Marriott? Lisa's voice cracked. He told me he couldn't see me Tuesday because he had to work late, but he'd make it up to me Thursday. Thursday he was with me, Jessica confirmed. Same hotel. The crowd was starting to murmur again. I could see people pulling out their phones, some probably calling friends to tell them about the drama they were witnessing, others likely posting updates to social media in real time. Amanda looked at the phone in her hand, then at Jake, then at Lisa, then back at the phone. Jessica. Thank you for being honest. More honest than my husband has been in apparently years. I'm really sorry, Jessica's voice was barely audible through the speaker. I had no idea he was lying to all of us. Amanda hung up the phone and handed it back to Jake with the kind of careful control that suggested she was about 2 seconds away from either screaming or throwing something. So, she said conversationally, just to recap for everyone keeping score at home, my husband has been stealing our money to fund his gambling addiction, having an ongoing affair with his coworker, sleeping with random women at bachelor parties, and apparently running some kind of emotional manipulation scheme where he tells everyone I'm the problem. Jake opened his mouth, but Amanda held up her hand. I'm still not done talking. Amanda turned to face the entire crowd, wedding guests, family, hotel staff, random strangers with phones, and did something I'll never forget as long as I live. She started taking off her wedding dress. Not in a dramatic, destructive way. Methodically. Calmly. She reached behind her back, found the zipper, and started pulling it down. Amanda, what are you doing? Her mother gasped, rushing forward. I'm taking off this costume, Amanda said matter-of-factly. This dress belonged to a woman who married a man who loved her. I'm not that woman, and Jake sure as hell isn't that man. She stepped out of the dress, standing there in her slip and heels, and handed the vintage gown to her mother like she was returning a library book. Mom, I want you to keep this for someone who deserves to wear it. Maybe Sarah if she and Danny work things out. Maybe a cousin someday. But not me. Not for this. Jake finally found his voice. Amanda, please, can we go somewhere private and talk about this like adults? She laughed, really laughed this time, not the hysterical sound from earlier. Adults? Jake, adults don't steal from their partners. Adults don't lie about where they're spending their nights. Adults don't manipulate multiple women into thinking they're special while treating their wife like she's crazy. She turned to the crowd, still in her slip, and somehow managed to look more dignified than anyone else in the lobby. I want everyone here to understand something. For the past year, Jake has been making me question my own sanity. When money went missing, he told me I was bad with finances. When he came home late, he made me feel guilty for not trusting him. When I found lipstick on his shirt, he convinced me I was being paranoid and insecure. Her voice got stronger with each word. That ends today. I am not crazy. I am not paranoid. I am not the problem in this relationship. She walked over to Lisa and took her hands. Thank you for having the courage to tell me the truth. I know this wasn't easy. Then she turned to Rachel. And thank you for driving here on your day off to make sure I didn't go through what you did. Finally, she looked at me. And Danny? Your speech tonight, whatever you were planning to say, would it have told me the truth about who I was marrying? I nodded, not trusting my voice. Then I wish you'd given it 3 hours ago. But I understand why you didn't. This family has spent years protecting Jake from the consequences of his actions, and that ends today too. She turned back to Jake one final time. I'm filing for annulment tomorrow morning. I'm moving out of our apartment this weekend. And if my father decides to press charges for the money you stole from him, I won't try to stop him. Jake looked around desperately. What about everything we built together? Our plans, our life. We didn't build anything together, Jake. You built lies, and I built fantasies around those lies. Neither of those things were real. Amanda walked toward the hotel elevator in her slip and heels, carrying herself like a queen. Right before the doors closed, she turned back to the crowd. Oh, and everyone. The bar's still open for another hour. My parents paid for it. You might as well get your money's worth. The elevator doors closed, leaving Jake standing alone in a lobby full of people who now knew exactly who he really was. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, **, I saw everything on Instagram. I'm proud of you for not giving that speech. Call me when you're ready. I miss you too, **. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting someone destroy themselves.